Welcome back to another episode of Movies Are Dead. I'm your host, Boris.
I just got a glimpse of what the podcast would be like if it was just you doing it, you staring out the window, going, welcome to another episode of Movies Are Dead with Boris. All right, Boris.
This is my co-host, Nick.
Hey, everybody. Glad to be back here. Glad to be back.
Girls cannot leave him alone. Ladies,
right now, they can't leave me alone, but eventually they will.
Any ladies out there who are interested in dating
It's okay.
my co-host,
Don't.
He has excellent taste in film.
That doesn't matter.
He has cool t-shirts.
T-shirts are always good. Love a nice t-shirt.
He's got that proto-Eraserhead type of hair.
Yes.
He's got it all.
All right. Stop. Made me blush here. Let's talk about Seven Beauties.
7 Beauties?
Yeah.
You're one of them, huh?
Oh, God. Thank you.
7 Beauties is a movie by Lina Wertmüller. And this is the first movie that a woman ever got nominated for Best Director for. 1975, correct?
Yep. I think so.
And I love this movie, Nick. I can't believe no one ever told me about it.
I agree with you. No one ever told me about it. I think I may have seen like the poster hanging around like a streaming service like Canopy. Just intimidating me. Mm-hmm. And then like the little pictures, like this like weird for Federico Fellini 70s overt colorization of humans and makeup.
Yeah, it's very grotesque. In the old way they use the word grotesque.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can't believe when people don't talk about this because it's such a unique.
I think it was nominated for Best Picture too, right? It
was nominated for Best Director, Best Actor, Best Screenplay, and Best Foreign Film.
Okay. Yeah. And, it's so weird because I've never heard of the movie. Maybe I saw it on a list or something, like Best Pictures of 1975. What won that year? Which one? Deer Hunter?
Give me a second.
No. 75.
In 1977, Best Picture winner was Rocky.
Okay.
Best Director winner was John G. Avildsen for Rocky. Also nominated for Best Director was Alan J. Pakula, All the President's Men, Ingmar Bergman, Face to Face, Sidney Lumet, Network, and Lina Wertmüller.
What a strange bunch of filmmakers.
Yeah.
That's an odd bunch.
I can't believe John Avildsen won for Rocky. I guess it was the most popular movie that year.
I can see why Rocky won that year, just given the story.
I mean, yeah, in the year it came out.
It's such a hit with people. You know what I mean? The first Rocky is a masterpiece, in my opinion.
Okay. I mean, All the President's Men and Network, 7 Beauties are, to me, they're above and beyond.
Network, I can see winning.
And All the President's Men, I think I saw that movie like 2 years ago, and it's flawless.
Dude, that movie holds up still. It's the acting in that movie.
Yeah.
Superb. The story, dude, the screenplay, just the story where it takes you.
Yeah.
Such a great movie.
It's great. It's like, I can't fault anything with that movie. It's one of the best. Anyway, that was the first year a woman's been nominated for Best Director.
Till 77?
Yeah.
That is insane.
That's right.
That's a long time.
Too long, right?
It's kind of weird because like there's movies that were like came out prior to that I feel like should have been at least nominated, like something like Wanda by Barbara Loden, like that. Like that's an excellent movie. Mikey and Nikki, of course.
Right.
But it's just hard to believe it took till 77.
Yeah, I think those movies were probably too independent and too.
Yeah.
I guess I don't know. Like at the end of the day, it's like how much is the studio going to invest in your awards campaign?
That's true.
And 7 Beauties, I think, had the distinction that it was very popular in art house crowds.
Yeah, I can see this one being a favorite to like Martin Scorsese's.
Definitely, yeah. I was reading an article about they were playing next to each other, Taxi Driver and 7 Beauties in New York on Broadway.
Whoa.
And this movie was hugely popular with a certain segment of the movie viewing audience.
This probably appealed to like the pseudo intellectuals, film hipster types.
Yeah. Like us?
of the period of the 70s, you know what I mean? Like you could just go to like a Cinemaplex and watch like Seven Beauties with Taxi Driver. And you go down like CBGB's after or something. Yeah. I don't know. It's all there.
What a time.
Those people are extinct now, or at least they're in their 80s
they're very old.
Or 70s. But like that whole like era of like intellectualism is just dead, or at least it's just transformed into something else. But
yeah, it's definitely transformed. It's just so weird. I guess it's not weird. It's happened sometimes that a movie that was this popular when it came out got all these nominations. Now, in 2021 AD, no one really has seen it as far as I can tell.
That's
very
true.
Little talk online.
I don't know anybody beneath the age of like 50 that's probably seen this movie.
Yeah, it's only for like a special, like you said, on Canopy.
Yeah.
You gotta be into like those weird, outside the box streaming services to even like get access to it.
Yeah.
You're not gonna find this on
Is
Netflix
this on Criterion? This isn't even on Criterion for some reason. Maybe it was at one point.
Movie.
Oh, okay. Oh, movie? Okay. Yeah. It's on a movie. Okay.
But yeah, it's crazy because I love this movie. Can't believe no one's ever been like, oh, you should watch Seven Beauties, you sick fuck. It seems like your type of movie, and they'd be right.
The sly insult. Yeah. No, yeah. So what were you saying? What?
Okay. This came out 30 years after the war ended, so it's not even that far from such a huge event.
That's like from now till like 1991.
Yeah, so making like a movie about Desert Storm
Three
or
Kings
came out 6 years after. Anyway,
or like the Rodney King riots or something.
It's not the point. It's not the same thing. It's not the same thing. It's not fair to compare those things.
No.
But this movie, I don't know how you would describe it, but has a very absurd comical tone.
It's definitely like this movie, it's the way it opens. It has this, as you said, comical tone, and it's like this poetic beginning that we were quoting earlier. But what's one of the lines that they were saying though? Like,
it's an insulting sort of like poetry reading, I guess. It's not even really like a song.
And he's like talking down to like the people who like got involved with. Yeah,
he's sort
dictatorship.
The singer is sort of making fun of the uber masculine fascist beliefs that Hitler and
Mussolini
had. That's also expanded upon in the actual movie. But it's about these men who think they're so great and strong and brave. And you contrast these images of Mussolini and Hitler giving speeches.
Speeches,
battlefields,
crowds,
bombs being dropped.
Amongst crowds with people, with children. Bodies, with children as well.
Destruction.
Yeah.
It's the contrast that makes it.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes it absurd, which makes it funny in a way.
It is funny. It's the tone of the narrator's voice.
Yeah.
It's the main character, right? So
I don't
is that the main character? No.
If that's I don't know. I'm not sure.
But anyway, it's like, yeah.
But yeah, it's like a very like sort of tongue-in-cheek sort of intro to the movie, because immediately after that, it takes you to like the gray coldness of a forest.
Yeah.
And it catches up with two Italian soldiers who have deserted the army because they were going up to a Stalingrad or something.
Yeah.
And
they're wandering through the forest.
Francesco and Pasqualino?
Yeah,
Pasqualino. And you meet them, and the first time you meet Pasqualino, it's a husk of the way you meet him later. Of that great intro shot in the nightclub where his sister's singing, and then you see the red light. You start on his shoes. He walks down the steps, and you tilt up so you see his face, and it's mostly covered in shadow except for his eyes. And he has like a cigarette holder, and he's smoking a cigarette.
Yeah, he has the face of like Lee Van Cleef almost. I don't know how to describe it.
Sort of.
He has like this weird, like these like bulging eyes, this like this masculine looking face. And he said by other characters, like, ugly. They call him ugly for some reason.
I know.
I didn't find him ugly at all. But
that mustache?
The mustache.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, like, just the way they introduce his character in the nightclub. He's just standing there, and we pan up. And it's almost like Goodfellas, the way we introduce Ray Liotta. To pan up. We see his suit. Huge pants, by the way. And he's watching his sister and, what should do, like a song and dance, right? And there's men cheering and men catcalling, right? going crazy, and his sister's like, would you say she's pretty? Because I would.
Well, the thing is that the movie makes it clear that his sisters are all ugly to one degree or another.
Yeah, hence the title. Yeah,
and
the tongue in cheek.
And I feel like if a man directed this movie, it would have a lot of claims of misogyny.
Definitely misogyny. Yeah,
all the women are like either ugly or they're prostitutes.
Man, yeah, that's a good point. I didn't think about it up till now. They're either prostitutes. The women are like ugly. The women are portrayed as sometimes clueless. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Or selfish.
Like his sisters aren't giving much of a personality.
Yeah, I don't know if that was the Italian culture around the wartime. I don't know if that was just like how women were back then.
Well, I don't think so. I think,
or the way they were viewed. Maybe, I don't know.
There's a lot of great women characters after the war, like Rome Open City, Anna Magnani, Mama Roma. There's a lot of great characters, great female characters in all of Italian cinema. I think this is a very specific choice Lina Wertmüller is making for this movie.
That's true.
That sort of turns everyone sort of like a cartoon almost.
It is a cartoon. And that's what I was getting at, earlier.
Caricature.
Like the pictures of the movies seen on a streaming service. Like everything's so like brightly lit, oversaturated. Even his sister, who's doing the song and dance, has like a giant mole on her face and heavy eyebrows, almost like a Fellini character. Just that whole opening scene is like a Fellini shot, watching a play. The close-ups of the men with no teeth or silver teeth, like it's like a barren wasteland of like masculinity, or of just like this is what women are like, this is what men are like in this society, in this world.
Yeah, I mean, it's not really subtle, but it doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why this movie can oftentimes be so funny, is that
it is for a dark movie.
Yeah.
This movie is hilarious.
It is.
It's a very hilarious movie. And it's weird watching like something like Amarcord and this together, where they have this sort of like tongue-in-cheek joy for life, everything's gonna be all right, like mixed with like toilet humor at the same time.
Yeah, there's like always this darkness.
Yeah.
But there's sort of also like a joy de vivre.
Yeah.
Joy for life, essentially. Yeah. And the thing also I want to focus on is Pasqualino. Such a distinct character. Not a lot of filmmakers would put such an unlikable character on screen.
Yeah.
And Giancarlo Gianni, the actor, lead performance, amazing. From his physicality to the way his mustache is sort of trimmed, how he slicks back his hair, and the way he walks in that suit. It's just sort of all perfectly designed.
No, it is all perfectly designed, and it's almost like a Looney Tunes character or something.
Sort of.
Like this guy is trying to take himself seriously and be almost like a street cat / gangster, and it just doesn't work out that way. Like it's almost like Roberto Benigni meets like a Scorsese character. It's not meshing well, and but the result is like so funny, and it's like entertaining to watch.
No, definitely. He has this like sort of code of honor that will change with like the way the wind blows. Like his honor is really just staying alive, and other than that, he doesn't really care about honor.
No, it has changed. the way wind blows. I'm just thinking about that shot when he goes to confront his sister, who's decided to become a prostitute, and he confronts the pimp, and then the pimp just knocks him out in front of the other prostitutes, and he's on the floor.
The way Lina, when we show like leads up to that moment, you think he's like, she leads up to it like he's a badass. He's about to beat this guy up.
It's a huge letdown.
It's like a huge like roller coaster. You're like going up, and he's like gonna like he almost plays it like a western. He's like about to have a duel and kill everybody with like in like 5 seconds. And like you said, he just turns out the guy has a chain in his pocket. Like he wraps it around his fist and he knocks him out with one punch. And then they like throw him out on the street.
Yeah, and then he goes and pursues the pimp once he wakes up. And this is what sort of leads like the first act, right? It launches him into, I'm going to kill this guy, or at least intimidate him. That way he can sort of get his masculinity back, his ego for himself.
Right, yeah, like he goes into his bedroom with the intention of having that pimp pull out his pistol so he can shoot him in self-defense.
Yeah.
It turns out he doesn't have a pistol, and either way, he shoots him accidentally.
Yeah, and then his face, the way they hold on his face
it's
as
funny.
he realizes
like,
that
shit.
he just murdered a man.
Uh-huh.
I love that so much. Like, there's a couple shots, as we mentioned, the last shot of this movie, but like the way the camera just holds on his face, and you can just see the emotions coming out slowly, and you just feel for him. I don't know. I felt sorry for
definitely.
him most of the time.
It's just like he's a dimwit.
He's a dimwit, yes.
Same time, you're like, I don't think you're rooting for him. You just sort of, you're laughing at him. At the same time, you're sort of like, oh.
It's weird. I've never, well, let me think of a movie that's sort of like this, where you have an unlikable main character, and then somehow, like, for me, toward the end of the movie, I fell in love with him. I was actually rooting for him. I was like, dude, you got to make it out of this concentration camp. You gotta do what you got to do to get out of here. You know what I mean?
Well, at the end, he's so broken. It's like a shell of the former person he was. Like, he's been thrown around so much. It's like...
Yeah. For some reason, I'm thinking of like Rushmore. For some reason,
Oh, yeah.
Jason Schwartzman's character reminds me of this guy. For some reason, I don't know why. But
I don't think there's really. It's hard to think of a comparison because
it is hard
most
to
people,
think about, yeah.
writers, filmmakers.
You got to make it likable. You got to make it likable.
He's got to be relatable. He's got to be likable. He's got to save the cat or whatever.
Yeah, you got to save this. You got to save that. Yeah.
But
this guy's just out for himself.
It's completely, yeah. And some like misinformed, toxic, masculine.
It's weird.
Sense of honor where he sort of has to like defend his sisters from like any advance that doesn't lead to marriage.
It's weird. He's like got this weird father complex. I don't know what it is, but at the same time, he has no code or morals.
Right.
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, like there's another funny scene where he like his lawyer
after
he kills the gangster shows up like, you confessed? You just told him what you did?
Yeah.
He's like, I don't want to look stupid. He's like,
no,
stupid. You don't.
This is for me.
I could defend you if you didn't tell them everything.
He's like, you pled guilty? What are you doing?
It's like, now you got to plead insanity because if not, you're going to die.
And he's like, what? Like, he realizes what he's done.
Yeah.
Insanity. I'm not going to play the part. I'm not going to lie. And you're just like, what are you doing, man? You know what I mean?
Well, the whole lead up to that is just also funny because he has to cut up the gangster's body.
Yeah, leading up to that.
He
seeks advice from, I forgot the dude.
Yeah, like sort of like this gang boss
That's what I was about
around
to say,
town.
Like a mafioso type.
Yeah, and he treats Pasqualino with some sort of like benign contempt. He just like seems sort of annoyed by him.
He was annoyed.
Treats him like a fool.
Yeah,
and uses him like as a pawn to get what he wants done.
Yeah.
And Pasqualino goes to him for advice, and he's like, "Oh, you gotta think outside the box.
You just can't throw him in the ocean. He's gonna come up somewhere. You gotta cut him up." So yeah, it leads to that scene where he's cutting up the body, and he's trying to he gets him out of the bed, throws him on the table, and then he tries to go to work, but he can't. It's like he's like sweating. The lights are like dim.
He carries the 3 suitcases to the train station, and like a dog chases him and starts barking and biting at the
insults
suitcases.
a blind man on the way. Like, who does that?
Then he gets in the carriage, and then he gets off of the train station, and like the guys want to help him for a
tip.
He's
like, no, get away. And then, Mr. Strongman, big man over here, carry all the bags.
Yeah, it's like they make fun of the way he tied the suitcases together.
Yeah, I didn't understand that part. What was that? It was
just he just did it ineptly, I think. It's like not the way you like do that or whatever. But yeah, it's like calls the boss at the train station, goes, it's all taken care of, you'll never hear about it again.
Yeah, one's going to where? Naples, one's going to
Palermo, one's going to Milan.
Yeah, he names all these cities,
And then next scene is like his sister turned him into the police.
Yeah, and then the police show up. I like the way that's filmed. It's filmed from like an aerial point of view, and you see the whole action, and you see like the family disperse, and then the cops come in. And then he just runs for his life in his underwear.
Yeah.
And that leads like to what, like this crazy chase scene going vertically into like the slums of apartments, and like the cries of like women and children screaming. And I just love the way that was filmed. It's almost like a cartoon.
Right.
It just,
that scene ends up with like the perfect kicker where it's like, you'll never catch me.
You'll never catch me. Exactly. Yeah. He goes across the roof on a sheet.
Yeah, he like swings on a vine.
And he goes, you'll never catch me.
And they're already behind him.
They're already behind him. Like, what are you doing, man? You know?
Yeah, like he obviously watched all these like movies as a kid.
Like Robin Hood or something.
He like imagines him to like be this hero.
Yeah.
No, so he's not.
No, you just feel sorry for him. It feels like he does whatever he can to get in his own way. It's like almost his fault. Like it's just, but then there's also stuff out of his control, like the breakout of a war while he's in a mental institution, and when he gets out, the war breaks out,
Well, the war's already going on when he's in there, and he volunteers. He's like,
remember the lady's all like, if you volunteer, you could get out of here.
Yeah, and he's like, I'd rather go to war than stay here.
Yeah, like everything is his own doing, but it feels like the war brings him out of that. It's like his savior, and almost like it gets him out of it, but then it knocks him into this other like situation. You know what I mean?
But then he like almost immediately deserts the army because
he dips out. Yeah, so like he's always in it his own way, and it just feels like
I think it's something that like I don't even like him or find him relatable or fun, but it's just like he's interesting.
He is interesting. It's almost like a book.
It's interesting to watch him like sort of like dig himself into even bigger holes.
Yeah. And it's just like, no, it's like a book, like an unreliable narrator. You're going through it, and after each page, you're like, this can't get any more weird and disturbing, right? And it does. Yeah. And it's more absurd.
I mean, you can imagine like the worst person and that's him.
That's true.
Yeah. And it's like, he's sort of the character who's just out for himself, like you said, wants to get everything, adjust everything for his own gain, doesn't really care about anybody else. He only pretends to.
Yeah.
Like his sisters, like he doesn't really care about them as human beings. They're only there as props.
Maybe.
To hold up his own masculinity and
I guess,
see himself as a symbol of fatherhood.
I guess it kind of gives him like this weird father-God complex to them. Yeah. You know what I mean? Definitely. And that's all. But I want to believe that he actually cares about them. I want to believe that he's actually...
I don't think so.
There for them. But yeah, I mean, like, just what leads up until like the second and third act, like in terms of like the war is happening and he gets out and you think like, oh, he's just gonna serve in the army. Next thing you know, he abandons the Italian army, right? With a socialist, right?
No, it's just his friend Francesco.
Right? Didn't he get persecuted for... Who is the guy at the train station that gets persecuted for... Why is that
just some socialist.
Is it?
We don't see him again. That's his only scene.
Okay.
But the things he says, if he isn't describing the United States of America and this year of our Lord, I'm going crazy, right?
It was a very...
The cost of living has gone up how much?
It was...
The pay hasn't gone up?
Yeah. There's always those moments, like in movies, where you see something or a character says something and you go, oh man, that's still happening.
No, yeah. Like,
or it's repeating.
At least when we protested and had strikes, we still knew we were sick with something. Yeah. And now we only pretend to be strong. I guess where that's going to lead us. I was like, wow.
And how long did that guy get? Like 25 years, right? Or something?
Yeah, something
absurd.
Like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And it, like him abandoning the Italian army, and then he ends up in a concentration camp. And then there's also that scene with the Nazis and the Jews, right, where they shoot up the killing Jews.
Beginning of the movie, where, and that's a big insight into his character, is that Francesco's like, we should have done something. We're just as bad as they are.
Exactly, yeah.
And then Pasqualino's like, no, we don't want to do anything. We're just gonna die for someone else. And then his friend's like, no, sometimes you have to like stand up when something is wrong, no matter if it costs you your life. And he's like, no, that doesn't make any sense to me. And that's essentially who he is. He's out for himself, I think. For himself and nobody else. Everyone else is just a prop to derive some sort of power or satisfaction from. No one's
that's true.
Doesn't care about people as human beings.
Yeah.
Well, and until the end, really, until he has to kill Francesco, that's when he's like brought to his lowest point and sort of realizes that. Yeah. Not only that, but Pedro. Remember the Spanish anarchist?
Yeah.
Great Fernando Rey. Great character.
I think those side characters were my favorites.
Yeah. They don't have many lines or many scenes to really get a sense of them in the way we think about getting a sense of a character now. But through performance and through the few lines they do
even
have,
like the facial expressions.
Yeah, we know these feel like people. They're existed, people. And they seem interesting and alive.
Yeah,
and especially Pedro, who is the way he goes out, it's insane, right?
Yeah,
incredible. He doesn't give him the satisfaction of killing him.
Doesn't.
It's like, stop being afraid. fuck all you, and then
and
he
he
just
takes off,
jumps into the latrine.
I like the way he takes off, and then they're chasing him.
Just
like,
absolute brave. Yeah, it's like that's being brave. That's like not giving a fuck about what happens to you.
That scene, it just feels like with the main character, like every time you think his life's gonna change for the better, or even a glimmer of hope, it just turns into this darkness and like this like terrible situation, you know. And with the concentration camp scenes, like those were like so like heavy, man. I don't know how to describe them. They were just like so like the way they were filmed, the dust,
right?
The staging, you know,
right. When you get to the concentration camp, the color has been completely desaturated, where it might as well be in black and white, and not only through the cinematography, but through the production design, the wardrobe. There's that big gray concrete room that they line up all the prisoners in. Yeah. That there's just sort of like a pale gray light
all the time.
Yeah, no sunlight of any sort.
Yeah.
No blue sky, of course.
The Nazi like black uniforms and like I don't know.
And the first time you meet the camp commander, they sort of come up walking out of the fog.
Yeah.
It's sort of like gray fog, like some sort of ghostly nightmare.
Yeah. The camp commander reminded me of the principal from Matilda.
Oh, yeah.
For some reason.
Why do you say that?
She just did. The boots.
Oh, okay.
And right? And the haircut and everything. I don't know.
Shirley Stoller?
Stoller, okay.
Have you ever seen The Honeymoon Killers?
I have not seen that
She's lead in that movie.
Okay.
Great.
It's a hell of an actress.
Movie. Yeah.
That lady.
It's such a, I don't know if it's a weird character the way to define her as. Just
I don't think it's a weird character. I think it's a very stern, hard-edged person that's like not like, I would say she's likable and then not likable, and you know what I mean?
How is she likable?
She's likable as in like when I was watching her, especially during the sex scene, I was actually humored by her. Does that make sense? Like I was actually like, her character's like funny. She becomes like a cartoon character in that scene. You know what I mean? I think so. Like it becomes comical and you're like, oh, she's just like this like woman who's just like in a position of power and that's bitter and nasty and mean. You know? Sort of like the edge was taken off during like a piece of her was sort of like shedded. You know what I mean? You could see through her kind of.
I mean, it sort of seems like she's sort of learned how to take power as a man would.
Exactly. Yeah.
She has a different dynamic. And I don't think it can be avoided that her physicality, the way she looks, that's a very conscious part of the filmmaking, is that this woman is obese, and also ugly.
And she wears boxer shorts.
Sure. And also this sort of transforms her role as not the stereotypical woman. No. But she got through that role as a commander through, I don't know if like acting like a man, but sort of like not presenting the traditional feminine qualities that would keep women out of those roles in the first place. It's sort of just, it's hard to put into words.
It is. I just think the whole planning of the main character, like him going like, I have to seduce her in order to survive. Like that was like so like funny and like it just brought like this whole like another side of Pastelino of him going like, I have no tools to use, no gun, no weapon. I just have my charm.
Yeah. He has that conversation with Francesco in the dormitory where it's like, people always thought it was ugly, but you know, how do I look now? He's like, pretty awful, to be honest.
You look awful, man. He's like, you don't look good at all.
Well, it's like maybe I can still sort of like he flashes back to a time when he was a child and his mom told him that he can get to the heart of everyone because every woman needs some sugar or something to that effect. And he's like, oh no, I can get her to spare me. Yeah. Purely through like playing up to her desires.
Yeah. He's like pretty much insinuating like every woman has a soft side.
Yeah, like even the hard, like even like the toughest, hardest exterior can be cracked.
Do you think he cracked her?
I mean, I don't know. That scene's so complicated. I don't know if he really cracked her. He sort of, she she realized that she can take greater pleasure from debasing him and humiliating him.
Humiliation.
And
Yeah,
completely stripping away what's left of him as a human being.
As a man,
Than anything sexually that they could possibly do. Because he's sort of like, first he's impotent.
Yeah.
And then he can't even look her in the eyes.
That scene, that's why I said it brings her down to like a cartoon level. Like it just like, I don't know. It's so human. Like it's so funny and comedic, that scene. You're just like uncomfortable. Like
it's uncomfortable for sure. But it's like I was reading someone's review and they said it was consensual sex scene, and it's not at all, right?
No, I don't think so. He's very much
forced into either doing that or dying.
He is forced in, but then he also goes in with the intention of like, I think he knows what he's getting himself into. I think halfway through he was just like, I can't do this.
Yeah, like it gets very human.
It does get human.
It gets complex and confusing.
Complex, yeah. Especially when he's like trying to go down on her, like he's trying to, and she's like hitting him with the whip, right? And like that was just, and the lighting, the greens and the blacks, and
it's so funny. The first time he tries to approach her and he's singing a song.
Yeah, that's right.
She just starts whipping him.
Yeah, beating him. Yeah, this woman's not to be disturbed.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we have the tools now that we've been taught to talk about movies to deal with this, I think.
Yeah.
It's just such like we say, it's sort of like a cartoon-like portrayal of this time period and these characters, but at the same time, these people and their actions and reactions seem very real.
No, they are real. Just given the circumstances of like World War II, you're in a concentration camp. Literally, like, this isn't a concentration camp during World War II, and he's using sex to get out of it. Now, if the roles were flipped and she was a man and he was a woman, like, it would be totally different. Like, I think it would be like we would be looking at this as in a very different way, I think. And I think we'd be a bit more like saddened by it and like disturbed by it, even though this scene is disturbed and sad. But it's a guy, though. It's an ugly guy.
He's not really ugly, though. He calls himself ugly, but
he's not ugly. We've agreed he's not ugly, but it's just a guy, like, that's just trying to like please a woman and get out. You know what I mean? Like, the roles are flipped, and it's so different watching it. I don't know. I felt different watching it.
Well, it's like he has this hubris that only he can turn her. And
that's true.
Save his own life.
It's like this weird egotistical, narcissistic approach.
It's like the tables are turned now. He has to sell himself out to survive.
Yeah.
And as it turns out, he doesn't like it.
No, he doesn't.
It breaks his spirit.
Like he tries to go down on her. That doesn't work. He tries to have sex with her. That's not working at all. And finally, he's on the floor, and she's just like, you're not a man. You know what I mean? She insults him, and she's like,
he like throws a bowl of food at him like a dog.
You must eat. You know what I mean? Like, and did she say like, now you fuck me? Is that what she said? Or now we have sex or something?
Yeah, something like
that. It was just like, I don't know, man. It was funny, but then disturbing as well. But it's a scene that I think it moves this story to another place, literally, because the next thing you know, he's out of the war, and he's back in like Italy.
Oh, but before we get to that point, there's a big scene. The climax is that he's asked by the commander to pick out 6 men to kill, and he has to pick out 6, he'll kill everybody. She'll kill everybody.
Yeah, that's right.
And Pedro volunteers, and
of
he's
course,
like, "Why would you volunteer?" He's like, "I'm just tired of it. I could just get out right now."
Yeah.
But even then, he doesn't put him down as one of the people that will be executed later. He puts out 6 random men.
Yeah, mostly young guys too.
Yeah, and they're all so young. They look like
kids,
late teenagers, early 20s. And they line everybody up, and then he reads off some bogus charges of like, oh, they've been sneaking in food, they've been talking shit about the Third Reich.
Yeah.
And which is like, there's never any evidence presented. There's like no trial or anything. They just read out their numbers.
Yeah,
they don't even have names. They line them up, and that's when Pedro has this big moment where he just refuses to give in to the fear and sort of not conformity, but sort of just not giving into the fear that they these people try to instill in every one of the prisoners. He's like, fuck you, fuck the Third Reich. I'm gonna jump in the shit.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump.
See you all later.
And then they shoot him up in the shit.
Yeah, and he's like such a brave moment. It feels like.
No, it is.
To just not care and just go.
It is.
I'm done.
And then like what leads after that, like
Francesco starts cursing at them, like,
yeah.
"Oh, you mother!" Yeah, and it's like, and then then the commander, knowing that those two are friends and they've been together, probably for like a year or so.
He's given a Luger by one of the commanders.
Yeah, and then like the thing is that the German isn't subtitled, right?
Is it?
It's not.
No. Okay.
The commander and Pasqualino only speak in Italian.
Yeah, that's right.
And yeah, when the German sub-commander, gives him the Luger to shoot his friend with, you don't understand what he's saying, but you get the implication that he's telling him, you have to shoot your friend now or we're all gonna die.
Yeah.
And he shoots his friend, and that's the point that completely breaks him, completely changes him.
Yeah.
As
a person.
Like who he used to be isn't there anymore. And there's like that big sort of, I don't know if it was a crane or what, but there's like the shot of all the prisoners lined up, and it sort of like moves over to Pasqualino in profile holding the pistol. And it seems like the moment becomes frozen for some reason.
Yeah.
Not literally, but just there's sort of this sort of stillness and terror and regret in that scene. And the next shot is Naples again. Everything's bright and colorful. The war is over.
Yeah, it just cuts to it.
Yeah.
So quickly.
And it's a great moment because the war's over now, and like his sisters are talking, and by the way, the sisters and the mom are prostitutes now, all of them. And they go, Pasqualino's back, and you don't see them. They just sort of tell each other, and they're sort of cheering and shouting. The use of mirrors is a big thing in the last two scenes of his mom and his fiance, I guess.
Yeah.
Are sort of look like you don't see him, like he's in the crack between like a 3-part mirror, so you don't really see his face, and you don't really see his face until like you cut to a close-up of him, and his mom's going, "You're alive, you're still alive," and he goes, "Yes, I'm still alive," but inside he's dead. Like the tables have been completely turned on him. Everything he knew or thought he knew or believed about himself or the world around him has been taken away from him.
How old do you think he is?
I would say like what,
30s.
Late 20s, early 30s.
30s.
Yeah,
I would say 30s as well. Feels like he just becomes like a man almost. There's this maturity,
there's
realization, humbleness.
He thought he had all this power and agency, and it's all been taken away from him.
Yeah, like you were saying, the staging of that last scene, it's moving. The mirrors, his bride to be, and he's like, "We're gonna have children."
What do you think about all the women becoming prostitutes at the end?
I don't know what I think about that. I mean,
it's yeah. I mean, like again, I feel like we should mention we in school, in film school or otherwise, we're not taught to deal with movies that are this complex.
I know.
In terms of the ideas behind them.
That's what I'm saying.
Like watching this movie, I was like, you don't see movies that operate at this many different levels.
No, you don't. This one's a headache for millennials and Gen Z.
Yeah.
In terms of
if this came out now,
yeah,
instant cancellation for Lina.
In terms of like the social themes and like the ideas being thrown around and the
portrayals,
and the ideas of masculinity and femininity, it just you try to dissect it, but it's hard. It's complicated. It's like life. It's not black and white.
Right.
It's just super complicated, dude.
Yeah, for sure. It's just hard to get your head around that people.
It is.
Got made.
No, I feel so conflicted about each character.
Yeah.
Like the main character, I like him and I hate him. The commander, like I hate her obviously, but then in that sex scene, she becomes like this weird sexual cartoonish goof that's a little like likable, and you're like, oh my god, why am I feeling this way? You know what I mean? And then like the sisters, you feel sorry for them, and then they become prostitutes. And then his whole goal in the beginning was like, I never want my sisters to become prostitutes, but they end up becoming prostitutes.
Even his mom.
Even his mom.
Yeah.
It's bizarre. And then like his bride to be, who is, I would assume, not even above
no, definitely
the
not
age of 18. So,
no.
Like, even that, you're like,
it's the complete corruption of everything that people say they stand for.
Yeah.
And the way it gets there is like through this sort of pious
even the
devotion
lawyer.
to Catholicism, this being Italy.
Yeah, that's true.
To the way to like again like this view of women that they can either be virgins or prostitutes.
Exactly, yeah.
There's no in between, and men can only be tough, macho, gun-toting.
Yeah. Gangsters.
Like Pasquale has this idea that he carries this gun around with himself. He's like, no, people respect and fear me.
Yeah.
And he finds out at the end that no one, like even not even at the end, like halfway through the movie, that no one respects him, and no one is afraid of him.
Yeah, and his family's gonna become prostitutes, whether he can control it or not. Like, it's just these things are gonna happen, and like.
But I think Lina's trying to like connect the dots that the way that the things were before the war sets the stage, like this sort of like hyper masculinity, machismo, and this sort of box that women are kept in. This leads up to this happening during and after the war.
Yeah, it's true.
It can only lead to one thing: when you are so dishonest with the way you live and the way you look at other people, and the way that you're always, as a general term, being so self-serving to your own needs and wants, and never to the common humanity of the person that's next to you. People who are even like in your family, your sisters. You are only out there pretending to protect their honor, but really you just want them to not. You don't want other men to think of you or your family as being corrupt in some way or disrespected.
Yeah.
Because like again, the mob boss. Respectability,
honor.
Yeah, the mob boss, the one that tells them about his sister being employed by her boyfriend in that brothel, and it's like, oh, well, and like he's like very what's the word? He like what's the word? Ciseñoso.
Okay, yeah.
That's Cantor Spanish listeners.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, I don't know if anyone can be respected if your sister works at a brothel.
Insinuating.
Exactly. He's insinuating that a man cannot actually be a man if his sister or someone in his family works in a...
That's like old school, like...
Even still now, like I see...
It's still... Oh, yeah, definitely now.
Definitely, like, especially in, like, Latin cultures.
That still exists, man.
Italy.
All of that is still
all
real.
South America, Mexico, of course.
Yeah.
There's this sort of...
Yeah, the Latin machismo. It has to exist. The respectable man.
Right. And it's
the
not
front you have to put up to gain the respect of men around you and also women. It's super complicated. And those cultures have not yet caught up to,
it's just sort of hewn to like a very traditional system of values. That Catholicism cannot be excluded from blaming this constant perpetuation of this is sinful. You cannot do this, but you can do this, but you can only do this, but on this special day.
Yeah. It's like yes, no. It's complicated, man. But I agree with you. This movie's, just the way it ends and the way he tells his bride to be, I want children, and it's going to be a defense mechanism almost.
It's sort of like a Michael Scott thing,
or like a Wes Anderson type of thing.
I want 100 kids so they can't say no to be my friend.
Yeah, it was just like. Like, who says that? Who talks that? As we did talked about Sweet Talk, who talks like that? Or Smooth Talk?
Yeah.
As we said in Smooth Talk, who talks like that? You know what I mean? But the way it ends, though, I love that last shot, though. Him in the mirror.
Yeah, the last line. Yeah, I'm still alive, but inside he looks completely dead.
He looks completely obliterated.
Dead. Like I won't be like you shouldn't be surprised if like 5 years later you like see him like. Drank himself to death or something.
Maybe.
And just killed himself.
I want to believe he stuck it out, had kids.
Yeah, and became like a shitty father or something.
Maybe he did.
No, I believe he's absolutely going to be a shitty father.
He's just... I love this main character so much. And like you were saying, this is an extremely complex movie. Like, I can't...
I mean, it's no Tenet, but yeah, it's pretty complex.
In terms of ideas and social themes, this movie... is a headache for people who want to just boil things down to like one word, one idea.
People want movies they watch and like and love to reinforce their moral values, to not only not be able to read past the surface and actually make a decision for themselves on whether these characters are good or not, or are being romanticized or not. They want the filmmaker to be very direct and in your face with what they think about the characters. Like, for bringing it back to our boy Martin Scorsese, all of his movies, like Wolf of Wall Street, Raging Bull, Goodfellas, people say, oh, he glamorizes gangsters.
I don't think so, man. I think it's all about how you view those characters.
Yeah.
You know, because when I look at those characters, I feel sorry for all of them. Like, even the Irishman, De Niro.
Especially the Irishman,
I feel bad for that guy at the end of the movie, man.
Yeah, it's like he's all that killing, and like, what's
even
left?
The Wolf of Wall Street, like,
all of it. All his movies are like
the excess.
Not all his movies, but like all his movies that deal with thorny main characters.
I think the American pop culture movies that have been soaked in like the idea of what a man should be, and how we like look up to these type of men. You know, like those like Goodfellas and Wolf of Wall Street, like, you know.
It's crazy to me. Like Casino, like Joe Pesci's character, who you could say is like sort of the cool guy. Him and his brother are beaten the head with shovels and buried alive.
They are psychopaths, dude.
Yeah, it's like nothing to admire. No one's going like, oh, I want to be like
admiring them.
Liotta and Goodfellas. It's like they're drug addicts.
Yeah,
they're murderers.
They're cheating on their wives.
Yeah, they're not even like that smart or anything. They just have a lot of money and power, which is the main attraction to those kinds of people.
Or like Tony Montana and Scarface.
Yeah, and then like that's like so like bigger than life and cartoonish that you can't.
That's another movie with having a sister protecting her so much.
It's just like
you put yourself in harm's way.
It's not even like a Latin thing. It's just a very antiquated notion.
I don't know what it is. It's
of
weird.
Masculinity that you feel like you have to protect your sister from any sort of sexual advance for anybody.
But yeah, like these characters though, like what men should be, and then like who they really are, and how the audience and the viewer can distort that into being like, I want to be like that, or that's what a man is. Yeah,
like people think like anytime you play a catchy song and show a character like driving really fast, and they think like that's the director telling them that they should be like this guy, instead of people watching and being like, do I want to be like this guy? Probably not. Probably not. Doesn't seem like a great life.
Like in The Wolf of Wall Street, I just keep thinking about like how it all ends for him.
You know? And also, if people want to be like that character, doesn't that say more about the person than the movie?
Yeah, these characters are so embedded in American culture, it's insane, you know. But I mean,
it's like people want their movies to be moral paragons, something to look up to.
Yeah,
and that's not what life is, and that's not what art should be. Art should be complicated and messy, and
Seven
be
Beauties
about actual human beings.
Does that. No, you're right. This movie does that. It shows human beings for what they are. You can't really put a label on it. I don't know, man. I think, as you said before, we're not taught to comprehend a movie like this, and we don't have the words for it. It's kind of like 8.5 almost, you know?
Yeah, sort of.
I call it movies from the future. Like it's just movies that are so ahead of their time that like culture has not caught up to them.
I mean, I also think it's like it's not like mass culture hasn't always tried to curve.
Yeah, that's true.
Especially movies, like going back to the production code in the 30s.
Yeah,
you see pre-code movies where you could have sex and violence, and the criminals got away at the end, and the production code came in, and now none of that. You can't have any sex, no violence.
Yeah,
you have to pay for your crimes at the end.
Yeah,
and it took away a big degree of complexity from American movies, especially.
It did take away, and it also took away from society. Like, you know, you just brought up like the code era and like what it did to American society in some weird way, like American society during the Eisenhower era and all that. Like it just became like squeaky clean. You know what I mean? Like TV was different, people acted different, things were different for people. And then after that, like post-war, you get into the late 50s, into the 60s, you start to have these like rumblings, and like it starts to bubble up, and all of a sudden in the late 60s and the 70s, it's like this burst of like, you can't control us. We're going to make movies how we see the world, you know? Or
and
art.
Then somehow back with Reagan, like we went back to
it. Yeah, it's weird.
We show this ideal version of the country or the society we want to be.
Yeah.
And even then, it's pretty sick.
It's so weird how we always, at least with me, we always go back to like post-war America as like, oh, that I guess that's the idea of what America should be.
It's like the boomers, right? Like sold that to other people,
right? They're like, this is the way it should be.
Yeah,
but I'm like,
pull yourself up.
Things were different back then for like certain groups of people.
Definitely.
And like you have a walled off society, and you kind of have like, which explains the hippie movement and this burst of life, and like people were going crazy on drugs and sex. Like, you can't really tame the beast, is all I'm trying to say. You can't hide human nature. You can't hide bad things, you know? It's complicated.
You can try. I mean, like, I just sort of got blown away with this movie because you don't see, even now, there's the rare moment where you see a movie that's willing to challenge the way you think about movies and the way movies portray actual human lives.
That's true.
I think. It's just like, yeah, I'm not trying to say that movies are just stupid now or simple-minded. There's plenty of movies that are complex thematically in terms of their actual approach and the craftsmanship, but it's not the things that people go to see and people talk about, even in relations to awards.
Yeah,
are just movies that are very obvious. They tell you what it's about. They're very in your face with big flashing neon lights.
Yeah,
this is what the movie's about. This is how you should feel now.
That's how you should feel.
Exactly at this moment when I play this piece of music, you should feel sad for this character because this character is brave and the protagonist and good looking, has a six pack.
And then you just add on social media to it, and it's like people saying, this is what it should be,
project feelings and ideas onto movies that have nothing to do with those feelings or ideas. They just want this movie to be this thing for them, and they're just going to project all these ideas onto it, no matter what the actual movie is about or how it's about.
Yeah,
and it just feels like really sad. It's just like the world is so complicated, especially now. It's only gotten more complicated since then.
Yeah.
Why are we trying to make it so easy to comprehend?
I agree.
Because sometimes you have to watch a movie and at the end be like, oh, I don't know what to feel now. I don't know what to think.
What did you feel at the end of this? I felt
I didn't know what to feel. Like, I didn't know what this was. Like, what is this?
I felt like hope. I felt happiness for him. And I felt like, that I don't know, that being a man sucks. Being a woman sucks. You know? And like the positions people are put in are awful. And then I was kind of like you. I was kind of just like, what is this? I was like, what the hell did I just watch? You know? I don't know.
It's crazy. Yeah. It's like,
this movie was probably like 90 years ahead of its time. This is what movies will be like in like 40 years.
The funny thing is that it got all this attention and awards.
Yeah.
And good reviews. And I imagine if this movie came out now, I
have no idea if this movie could even exist, dude. I don't think it can. I don't think this movie would get the funding.
Maybe.
Just there being a concentration camp
scene. It would have to
be
like one of those like European or Asian filmmakers that like have an established career who can go and just make anything they want for a low price.
I mean, just the concentration camp scenes and just like the set scene between the commander and the main character. I just don't think it could fly nowadays. Don't think
an American filmmaker would never make this movie.
It just wouldn't work, man. I don't know. But yeah, it'd have to be done overseas. And maybe, but I don't know. I'm hoping movies are more like this in the future, where they just have characters where you're like conflicted about all the time.
Yeah.
You know, and at the end, maybe you get something out of it. I don't know, you know.
Yeah, this movie's like so well written too, though. It's like, it's incredible how well written. Like the structure, for one thing, is like
the structure is great for a story.
We start out near the end of the movie, then we flash back, then we flash back to the present.
The poetic beginning of
yeah, like that's like it's crazy to like put that in like a feature film that's gonna play out all over the world. Just have that, I guess, bravery, courage to do that.
I think it's just like.
I think the times are different. I think you can take
times are different.
You could take more chances back then.
More chances at that time. 70s. I mean, it was an open thing. You know what I mean? Like people were just like, let's just put it on the screen.
That's crazy because like it's sad that we just got to the realization that you probably couldn't make this movie now unless you were like some established director.
No,
that was gonna make it for like what, $5 or $10 million.
Yeah, I don't know. I enjoyed it, and I think like movies will be like. Hopefully they will go like this in the future. I don't know. I picture movies turning more into like Enter the Void. Well,
yeah,
because we brought up Enter the Void last week and Irreversible, but it had me thinking just about like at the beginning of this decade, like Enter the Void came out, and I was for sure certain that like this is what movies will look like in the future. It's going to be this weird immersive experience.
Yeah, so like a
borderline
reality
of a POV.
Yeah.
But it didn't really go down like that. And the person closest to it that's making movies like that is like Terrence Malick.
Yeah.
If you think about it. I don't know. I just hope movies move toward something like that. Or like Seven Beauties. Where it's just like this weird narrative immersive experience. And it's just, there's no clear answer to anything, you know?
Right. I mean, as for Enter the Void, I think when it came out, people just hated it. At least critics hated it. They booed it when it premiered. And it's weird to me that critics aren't more like when they see something daring, at least from a formal point of view, like that movie does. I mean, I think there should be like bigger cheerleaders for that sort of thing because it sort of maybe it doesn't advance the form of filmmaking.
I agree with you. But I think the reason why they don't do it is because it's something different and they're bitter and they're mean.
Okay, cool.
You know, they can be that way sometimes, and it's just like if something new is coming out, people. They're gonna let you know that it's not good.
It's just like I always think about the French New Wave, and the way they just fucked around. Essentially,
they essentially
like I'm gonna
effed around. Yes,
yeah, they effed around.
Fucked around, yeah.
They would have ideas, and they wouldn't be like, oh, I'll just play it to an audience.
No, it's weird watching a Godard movie now.
Yeah,
is very, and you keep an open mind to it. It's very like. You're like, dude, he's doing whatever he wants.
Right.
And that's admirable.
I remember the first time I watched Beauties.
Okay.
And just my head exploded because like I got so excited about what you can do with movies.
No, that movie's like, it's got a narrative story, but then it doesn't. It's weird. It's like,
and then I try to make something like that for advanced directing.
Oh, God.
They ate me. They destroyed me.
Of course they are. They want ABC.
But it's like, yeah, I mean, like that's not the point of class. But anyway, the point I'm trying to get to is that I don't see movies anymore that just excite me like that anymore, that are exciting, that make me like want to go out and make a movie. Everything's like just okay now and boring.
Just okay. I mean, I always see newer movies that come out and I'm like, there's always a couple that come out. I just think that everything's on TV, you know, TV shows and it's a very episodic
medium. Even TV now is pretty boring.
I agree with you. I'm not going to lie. I agree with you. And I see good movies every now and then that come out presently. But, I mean, just as we said with Smooth Talk, like, you can discover something like Seven Beauties or Smooth Talk, and you're just like, yes, this existed, and this was made. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. I mean...
And it could be that part of the reason people don't talk about these movies now is that they don't fit into the narrow
There's no
view.
Genre. What would you put this in? Art film? It would be under art film.
Nah, not even art film. It's like a dark comedy.
It is a dark comedy, but the algorithm would put
it's like if the Coen brothers didn't hold back as much, maybe they could make something like this.
Or like Wes Anderson, kind of.
Yeah, I don't think you do. I don't think you do.
This reminded me of a Wes Anderson movie for some reason. Like the stylization, the humor got me.
Sort of, yeah. It's sort of also very slapstick, sort of like very 70s, 60s, sort of like almost Jerry Lewis like.
Okay, what's up with that? Because this is the second movie where we brought up Amarcord, but it's like we're dealing with such dark moments and despair, and all of a sudden there's like these weird like humorous moments of like just like borderline toilet humor. I don't know, it's weird.
I think like part of the reason this movie got me so excited is that it's sort of like it connects these 2 points that I've always believed that within all of human endeavor, there's sort of an absurdity that makes it both insanely depressing and also really hilarious.
That's true.
And it's constantly happening. Like when Pasqualino is gonna cut up the gangster's body, the pimp. It's just a constant combination of like how shitty he feels while he's doing it. He feels awful. He's trying so hard, and it's so hard to do this, and he feels so regretful that he did it in the first place. But at the same time, like the corpse is farting, and like he can't get over the table, or he has to like drink more because the smell is so bad. Or, like he looks at his face and he's like, "Oh, you're so fucking ugly." And it's like the constant conflict of darkness,
all the time.
Comedy. It's just great. Like I mean, like it just that's sort of like a tone that's so hard to get to accurately, not accurately, but like not have your full movie fall apart.
Yeah. I don't know.
It's such a delicate balance.
This is probably one of my favorite movies we've done. Okay. With Smooth Talk as well. Smooth Talk, Body Double. They've all been fun, but this one, the past two have got me thinking.
Yeah.
About the possibilities of movies.
Right. It's just we're sort of, I don't know, like there's not even like a film culture that's universally agrees anymore, I think. There's like so many different
It's very
segments.
campy. It's very camps. You know, you got the comic book people and Marvel people, and you have like the comic book people who are in a DC, and then nerd culture, and then you have like comedy. It's very broken up. Then you have pretentious art people, and then you have like just people who just want to enjoy a movie. I don't know. It's just weird. It's very broken up. You know, it's very broken up. YouTube and TikTok and everything's spoon fed. And
a lot of people can't watch a movie. They have to like look at their phones. Like
there's that too, man. Yeah,
there can't be a single boring moment where you're gonna lose them.
I know.
So that's the way movies are now. It's like the way movies are cut now. The mainstream ones are more reflective of a reality show,
where
they're constantly trying to keep you on the hook.
I guess so. No, you're right. Yeah, I just called it like algorithmic movies.
I mean,
where they put it into like I just pictured them like at a studio, and they're like, all right, so we want this character, we want that character. Let's throw them all in a pot. They put it in a program, and it spits out what the plot is.
It feels that way sometimes,
cinematography, who's going to direct it. It's like, oh, this is what it is. I don't know.
Like, I wonder how far we are from actually doing that.
It's pretty close, but I mean, there's always going to be people who want these type of movies.
I guess, but the thing I want to get to is like, it feels like the audience for movies in general are just getting smaller.
Yeah,
because they're like, oh, it's like what, a 2-hour long movie? It's crazy.
Yeah. Okay. When you watch a movie, do you put your phone? Where do you put your phone?
It's next to me, but I don't look at it usually.
Okay. Yeah, I put my phone.
Yeah.
All the way in another room. Just let it hang out.
Yeah, like I usually just like put it next to me, but I just don't look at it.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like recently, the phone, past couple of years, that like the phone is like, it's so distracting, and so like, I don't know. Whenever I have my phone in airplane mode or like away from me, it's the best feeling ever. It just is.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it's sort of like we were talking about the last episode, and like, why do families go out to dinner and then they're all looking at their phones? Same thing. Right. Like the other week, we went out to have breakfast or lunch or something, and there was like this couple next to us, and they were just like both looking at their phones.
Dude, what is that?
And it's so weird to me.
What do you think that is? And I don't want people to say, oh, you're a narcissist, you want all the attention. I'm like, no, when I go out
of course not.
To eat with somebody, I'm using my time. This is 40 minutes of my life that I'm dedicating to you and food. I want your attention. I'm going to give you my attention. Put the phone away. I'll put my phone away. Let's talk, but it's bizarre. Why would I be in a relationship with somebody when we're just going to stare at our fucking phone?
Yeah, it's like they're not doing anything important. It's like they're looking at Facebook or Instagram.
I don't understand that, but
it's like I wonder what they could use as an excuse. Oh, we talk enough.
I guess so.
We're bored of each other.
I don't know. But anyway.
It's weird to me that that's become so accepted. Yes.
Accepted. No, accepted. That used to be rude. When someone would took out the flip phone.
Yeah, like even like a few years ago, it would be rude.
Like I remember in like 2006, people talked about a flip phone, and they're like, dude, like, why are you on the phone? We're at dinner. Come on. So.
Yeah, but even like a few years ago, it would still be considered rude to like go out to dinner with somebody. And
I would bring it up to people, like, and dude, if you tell people, hey man, like, put away your phone, or like, hey, can you pay attention to me? Essentially, you're saying like, pay attention to me, but you're trying to be nice about it. People get offended. They don't like it.
Yeah, thankfully I don't have friends, but
stop. You have plenty of friends, Jesus.
And that's why I don't encounter this as much.
And that's why we love Seven Beauties by Lina Wertmüller.
Sorry to get personal.
He has plenty of friends.
I mean, if it makes you feel better to say that to the random audience.
So
what are you, my dad? I'm like, oh, you have plenty of friends, Boris.
I don't know. I was just trying to be nice.
Thanks.
All right, so Seven Beauties. Where can it be seen? You saw it on Movie
or Canopy?
Yeah, I saw it on Canopy. Check it out. If anybody's listening and going like, where do I watch this movie?
Yeah, it's I don't know. why don't people watch this? You should watch it if you're not.
It's worth the 2 hours.
Yeah, watch it before you listen to this, of course. But
we always recommend that.
Yeah, you should watch it. It's a great movie. Yeah. It'll make you feel weird because it's not gonna like tell you exactly how to feel about what's happening on screen.
You'll definitely feel something at the end. There's no words for it.
There's ambiguity, moral grayness.
I agree.
It's not easy to tell. Because, I saw a lot of talk online about what exactly does Lina Wertmüller feel about her protagonist, about Pasqualino.
What'd she say?
And no, it's like people are wondering, and they don't like the movie because they think like, oh, is she on his side or not? And the thing is,
it doesn't matter, I think.
It kind of doesn't matter, but also it just sort of feels like she sort of hates him. She's sort of making a satire about this kind of character, this kind of man being brought down, being sort of destroyed and remade in a new image.
I wish there was more stories like this, like what you just said, where it's like a satire and you're dissecting a character.
Yeah,
and they could be female or male.
Yeah.
And it's not offensive. You're not talking down to the gender. You're not talking down on anyone. You're just portraying and going like, you make up your mind.
Yeah.
You know?
People are always going to accuse you of talking down to them, but I don't think that's true in this case. I don't think that's what she's trying to do. It's very clear-eyed, I think.
Yeah.
It's very concise. I mean, I think, genuinely the screenplay is a great piece of writing by itself.
I agree.
It's the way each scene leads to the next scene. Yeah, traditional screenwriting stuff, but character build, like the way each character is presented, the way dialogue is written, it's just amazing. I think.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, Bobo finished that up. Thank you for listening to, not watching, but thank you for listening to another episode of Movies Are Dead. As we said before, 7 Beauties. Check it out. Mubi, Canopy.
I think it's been remastered. It's on DVD now.
Yeah. All right. Well, that does it for another gnarly episode of Movies Are Dead.